we now have 14 schools that we've added over a 3-year period. We just recently added 5 more organizations to our portfolio. Last year, we added Dr. Emilio and his school, STEM College Prep in Los Angeles. And one of the really phenomenal things about this school is it was a high school, and then they merged with a middle school, so now it's a middle high school. But it's taught entirely with an inquiry-based approach. And so it's really about students solving problems and building the skills that they're going to need in order to be successful as science and engineering majors. And this is spoken as a former electrical engineering major, so much pride there. But it was really good to see. I stepped into, I'll never forget, I think it was a remedial algebra class. And too many times when you step into a remedial class, it's just kind of rote learning. And you really wonder, is this the right way to remediate for the kids? What was so wonderful about that class is they were clearly in the midst of a multi-day problem that the teacher had put on the board, and the kids were separated into 3 groups of 4, and the teacher said, I'm going to give you 3 days to struggle with and solve this problem. And she was walking around and coaching them, and one group there were 2 of the kids arguing because they had a different kind of hypothesis on what the right answer is and the way to get there. You saw other groups kind of struggling through it together, but you could really tell that the students were learning. And so I think his inquiry-based approach is very special in what they do there. Eric Sanchez, he runs a school called Henderson Collegiate in rural Henderson, North Carolina. So I think oftentimes in this work, we focus very much on schools that are opening in the big urban areas, and the issue of education is going on in the urban areas of this country, but there's just as much struggle and need in the rural areas of this country. And Eric got training at a rural school in KIPP, but saw a need in the Henderson community in North Carolina. So you go to this community, and it still has remnants of a lot of the things that were deeply problematic in the South years and years and years ago. There's still remnants of those there. And so you see a school system that provides a different education depending on who the student is. And when I walk into Eric's schools, which are predominantly African American kids, there's a handful of Latino kids, but they're all kids of color, and they're learning at levels that have them in, I can't remember, it's the top 5% or top 1% of all schools in the state of North Carolina. And so he and his team are incredibly dedicated, but they're proving that with high quality education, all kids can achieve regardless of the background that you're coming from. And I think having those proof points in rural communities is an important part of the work that we need to embrace.